Hey y'all, it's Brooke and I just finished my first week of ultramarathon training, so let's recap what I did for the week. On day one of training, I kept it simple. I just did some weight training. I've been really wanting to integrate cross training into my running for a while now. This training block I think is the perfect time. I focused on mostly core and lower body workouts at low weights, high reps to really try to train that endurance in my muscles. I'll probably just continue to only lift lower body. Don't come at me for that, but I feel like that's the most useful thing for me to do at the moment. So I usually spend about like 45 minutes to an hour at the gym. That's exactly what I did on day one, was train weights. Day two was my first run of the week. This is what I would call my medium run of the week. So medium distance, medium effort. For me, medium effort is like between 11 and 12-minute miles. And I ran 5 miles-ish and some change at an 11:09 pace, so right where I wanted to be. There was nothing really miraculous about this run. It was on the road because all of the trails are still flooded here, and it was a situation where I woke up early and went out on a run and was just doing it to really get the miles in. A very monotonous run, not very exciting, just went exactly how I wanted it to. I really have no complaints about this run at all. Got it done, and that's all that matters. That evening we also went on a little walk, again just on the road during the sunset. We got to see a rainbow on the walk. One of my favorite things about moving to Texas is the sunsets are insane. I don't know why, I don't know what it is. I love watching me a good Texas sunset. Day 3 of training, I tried something new, and I tried to do a yoga flow in the morning. I have very little experience with yoga, so I just looked up like a little YouTube video of a yoga flow, you know? It was like 20 minutes long. It was so hard. I don't know if it was like an intermediate video on accident, but at the end of that, I was just like, wow, that was not relaxing at all. I did not enjoy that yoga flow. I also just don't think I'm very good at it. So here's a picture of me doing the downward facing dog pose. If you don't know, this pose is like the go-to transition pose in yoga. So you'll like go into one pose and then use downward facing dog to transition to the next pose, and that's very popular. I feel like during that yoga session that I did on YouTube, I was in downward facing dog for like half of the session. Like, I'm not even kidding. And I knew that my form wasn't good. I could feel it, so I had Nick take a picture of me. So I have some work to do on the yoga, and I don't think I'm gonna do that video in particular again, so I either need to find a new video or come up with my own flow. Maybe when I get further into my training, we can compare my downward facing dog and see if it's improved at all. This day I considered an active rest day, so after my yoga session, I went and did a little hike. And if you know me, I love birding, so I did some birding while I was out there. I saw 30 species of birds, which is a pretty good amount. Low effort workouts, but making sure I'm still moving. No weights today and no run on day 3. On day 4, I did what I would call my speed workout, and I tried a new type of workout that I've never done. I tried intervals. I wanted to go a total of 4 miles, which I did, and I wanted to warm up for a mile, and then I wanted to run pretty much at max effort, a little less than a sprint, but almost at max effort for a quarter mile, and then go really slow and recover my heart rate for a quarter mile, and then repeat that. So then run fast again for another quarter mile and run slow again for another quarter mile. My fast paces were probably somewhere sub 9. 8:30 to 8:50 is where I was kind of bouncing around. And then my slow pace was like over 12. And this was also on the road. So I did 2 miles of those intervals, and then I did a mile cool down. And I actually really liked this speed training. It was a lot more manageable to me than running the whole 4 miles at a faster pace. My average pace ended up being a 10:38. And I think for my fast runs, I kind of want my pace to average around 10:30. I'm not super concerned about running this 50K really fast. I'm not trying to break any records, but the reason I want to speed train mostly is because my runs are just getting really long, especially the medium and long runs. They just take me a really long time to complete. So I'm trying to get faster so that my training runs don't take me as long. For this training, I'm probably gonna get up to, you know, 20, 24, 26 miles. And if I keep running at the pace that I'm running, like, that's gonna take me so long. That's all I did that day. Speed workouts are really hard on my body, especially when they're on the road. Day 5, I did more weights. I did almost the exact same thing that I did on day 1, except I added some new workouts and more like dynamic style, like stepping up with weights and lunging with weights and stuff, because we only have one leg machine in my gym, and some guy was on it for actually like 25 or 30 minutes. I had to keep myself busy while he was on that machine. And I actually really liked those more dynamic workouts. It was still lightweight and high reps. I think it really engaged like more of my muscles at a time. I might incorporate those into my weight training. Again, I was there for like 45 minutes. And then that evening, Nick and I went disc golfing. Disc golfing is something Nick really enjoys doing and I enjoy doing it with him. I actually didn't play at all. I just kind of walked around with him. The disc golf courses are usually in like these really beautiful parks and on these beautiful trails. So sometimes I just like to walk around with him and bird, and that's exactly what I did. I had my binoculars and just kind of walked around with him as he played. Nick did throw one of his discs in the water and had to retrieve it. Here's him doing that. He was really dedicated to retrieving this one. He did it successfully. Day 6, I did some volunteering with birding stuff, and that requires me to wake up at 4:30 a.m. and then hike out in the prairie till noon. I hiked like around 3.5 miles, something like that, 85, 90 degree weather. It's really, really beautiful out there. Even though I have to wake up at 4:30, I absolutely love going and I wouldn't trade it for the world. This is more, again, like a active rest day, because honestly, by the time I get home from that, like I'm beat. And I forgot to take videos and stuff there, so here's some pictures of the birds that we caught. This first one is a painted bunting, male, and then this one is a western kingbird. And I've never abandoned one of those before, so that was really fun. And then lastly, day 7 is my last run of the week. It's my long run day, which is historically my favorite day of my training. I've been trying to keep my long runs with as low of a heart rate as possible. I try to make them fun by choosing a fun place to go. This week we went to Lyndon B. Johnson National Grasslands. That's not too far from us. They have a lot of trails there. You can go pretty much whatever mileage you want. And my goal for this run, like I said, was to keep a low heart rate, and I failed at that so badly. To keep my heart rate as low as I want it, I usually have to run about a 12-minute pace. My average pace for this run was 12:51, so it was a lot slower than I wanted it to be. And the reason for that is because I was having a really bad time. I woke up that morning not really excited to go do this run, so I was like, no worries, like I'll just, you know, put my head down, zone out, get the miles done. I wanted to run 8 miles, which I did, but I was like, man, I just want to get these miles done. I get on the trail, and the first thing that ticks me off is the navigation. The trail was like marked, but not marked well enough. So I kept having to stop and get my phone out and navigate. And that's probably one of my least favorite things to do when I'm running, is having to stop and take out my phone to look at the map. So that just put me in a really bad mood. And so then a bunch of other stuff just like piled on to that. Another big thing was the sand. It was so sandy, and not like the good type of sand. It wasn't like, oh, it's so soft to run on. It was like foot sinking sand for probably 5.5, 6 of my 8 miles. If you've ever run in sand like that before, you know it's just really hard. I would say it probably takes, you know, double the effort to actually make a step. The grass was really high and overgrown. These are all horse trails. If you ever run on horse trails before, you know that they make like a ditch. You're running like in a ditch, basically. The grass at some point was up to my shoulders on either side of me in the horse ditch. I ran through many trails of grass where it was up to my hips. So that wasn't super fun. But the last thing was the spiders. Oh my God, that is the biggest. Did you guys see that spider? It was literally, I mean, I bet that was the size of the palm of my hand. Oh, there were so many spider webs. It was early in the morning. No one had done the trail yet. I was the first one on it, and I was just eating spider web after spider web. So I was really slowing down, looking for these spider webs, because they're like giant and span across the whole trail. And I was like, that's it. I will be watching for these. That really slowed me down too. So between all of those things, and I know that that's just all complaining, but like I said, if you've ever been in a similar mindset on a long run, you know that these things just stack on top of each other. And so this for me was more of like a mental training run instead of a physical. Physically, I felt great. I made sure to fuel really well the day before. I was really well hydrated. Mentally, I was just not there. I will never stop a run based on how I'm feeling mentally. That's just not an option for me. I will always make myself finish it. I never even considered quitting on this run. I was just annoyed by all of these little teeny tiny things that were compounding each other. That run wasn't exactly what I expected. This was like my most disappointing run of the week. Even my bad runs, I think, is helping me for this 50K, because I know that not every mile of the 50K is gonna go how I want it to go. That was the end of my week. If you counted all of those running miles up, it was somewhere around 17. So I ran a 17-mile week for week 1. Just gonna keep increasing that as my weeks go on. Also very exciting, I made some goals for the 50K. I hadn't really thought about what pace goals I have. My A goal, if everything is going right, I'm feeling great, is to try to go sub 6 hours. And that's anywhere from like a 9:40 pace to an 11:30-ish pace, which is pretty fast. Like I would definitely be closer to that 11:30 end. I think that's a really ambitious goal. I ran my half marathon, which is the longest I've ever gone, at a 10-minute pace, which is on the road, and this is on trail. I don't think it's too ambitious. I think that I could do it if I was really like on my game that day. And I think it's good to always have an ambitious goal. My B goal is to finish sub 7, which is anywhere from like an 11:30 to a 13:30. I think that is very achievable for myself. I think there's no question that I could do that one. And my C goal is just to finish. That's what I'm gonna strive for. That's what I'm training for. And I think that week 1 was really productive. Hopefully the rest of the weeks follow suit. This race will be here before I know it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to stay up to date on my training, and I'll see you next time. Bye.